Welcome to the Rams post game show. My name is Victor Corona, aka Vic the producer. And live from Kansas City, we have Gilbert Manzano, who does it for the OC Register, LA Daily News. Gilbert, it wasn't as bad as everyone expected, and we saw a good effort from the Rams. So, Rams fans have solace in that. Welcome, Gilbert, live from Kansas City. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, but Victor, I think the way you laid out this game is it kind of summarizes where we are in the season, right? Like you're just trying to get through it. It wasn't a beat down. Uh, they almost, were about to cover, but they didn't, right? It was 26-10. Uh, I hate going with the whole more victories, and I think the players weren't really buying that, but it was more like, hey, it wasn't a beatdown. They weren't crushed by the Chiefs. And, you know, I wouldn't say it was competitive through like, three quarters, maybe two and a half. I think the first half, the defense played great. And then Perkins had the two interceptions. And after that, it was really over. But you always kind of felt like they don't have enough firepower to even overcome like a 7 point deficit. So if it got to a one score game, I still didn't believe in them coming back. But to be out Allen Robinson, which we'll get into, Victor, Matthew
Yes.
Stafford, Cooper Cup, your 11th combo on the offensive line with your fourth string left tackle. All you can ask for. Oh, by the way, Victor, your head coach, Sean McVay, took a hit to the jaw from a
Yes.
shoulder. Roger Carter, oh man, we'll get into it too. But it's all you can ask for. It's the way I kind of wrote my story too.
Yeah, and I as I was watching the game here in Los Angeles, it seemed like the defense did its job. The offense did. You're working with the third string quarterback, so there's only so much you can do, and so I give credit to the defense for stepping up, especially being able to force them to kick a bunch of field goals there in the red zone. So and I mean, even with Ramsey getting beat on that Kelsey touchdown, the defense played pretty well, and he kept them in check the rest of the way after he gave up that touchdown. So there you go, Gilbert.
Yeah, I thought when I saw early in the game that Ramsey was trying to follow Kelsey, like obviously it's tough with the motions and all everything they do in the Andy Reid scheme. I thought that was big. Okay, finally, Ramsey go chase Travis Kelsey, and yeah, that was a big. Was it? I forget how many yards. 39 yards catch and run. Once Travis Kelsey gets loose, man, it's so hard to get that guy, and it's tough. It's just crazy to think a tight end could do that. All the things that wide receivers could do, but you know that was the biggest down play for the defense. But to be in the red zone time and time again and not allow a touchdown. I know Isaiah Pacheco got that touchdown. I'll forget. I think third quarter midway. For the most part, they did their job and they got a takeaway. Victor Nick Scott
Yeah.
ended the drought. Special teams also had a takeaway, so two takeaways. And it's just hard to believe this defense only had one takeaway from week 6 coming into this game. So Nick Scott did the job, to face Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey, Pacheco, Juju Smith-Schuster is loved out here at Arrowhead Stadium. They already got a chance for Juju. But it kind of felt like one of those games where the Chiefs are like, you know what, we could mess around today. We won't find out. We won't get hurt here. So again, I don't know what to take away from this game besides, okay, what can Bryce Perkins do? And it was a very shaky first half. But it kind of felt like, well, if Stafford was in there and even Cooper Cup was in there and Robinson, it probably would have been the same outcome with the defense doing its best and the offense not doing so much. But at least this way, you get to evaluate some guys and see what develop. I wish the wide receivers in the passing game did a little more, Victor, but it didn't really turn out that way.
Yeah, and before we get to Bryce Perkins a little more, because we have a couple of questions from
Yeah.
some fans here, I wanted to just give me just some injury updates. How is McVay doing after taking that shot? And then also Brian Allen, Allen Robinson, of course, and then Lance McCutcheon as he left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, let's start with Sean McVay. He said he's fine. He said his jaw's not broken, so that's okay. He got checked by Reggie Scott, the head athletic trainer for the Rams, on the sideline. And I don't know, the way I kind of, you know, let me kind of break down more. Like he's fine. We spoke to Roger Carter, the undrafted rookie who was activated for the first time. He's probably eager to go into the game. Like I think he might have been on the opening kickoff, or maybe that was his first time. I got to double check on that punt return because that was after the first drive for the Chiefs. Maybe that could have been his first time touching the field. I don't know. And he didn't know he hit somebody until he went back to the sideline. And somebody told Roger, "Hey, dude, you hit the head coach pretty hard. And then when we spoke to Roger Carter in the locker room, he said he had not spoken to Sean McVay in the locker room. I mean, at that point, I kind of wish we caught him after the conversation to know what happened. But he said he felt bad, and you can see it in his face, like, man, like my first game, I hit the head coach that hard because it looked pretty bad. Sean McVay said, he's okay. Just show some, just show some awareness when you're out there. I don't know if he was joking or being serious, but he wasn't really smiling. So that's where I go to. Like, if you're Sean McVay and you're really pissed off, you can't cut the guy, right? Because like it just looks obvious, like you're cutting the guy because you got hit in the face on it was an accident. We can't forget that
Yeah.
it was an accident. So I'm curious to see what he does with that. I don't think Sean McVay is that petty, but we've seen how he deals with players. Cam
Yeah.
Akers, Darrell Henderson, Justin Hollins. So that's where I'm kind of just fascinated to see what happens after that. I know we got a bunch to get to, but Allen Robinson, that's a big one there. I guess that he had an ankle injury, and they find out later Friday that he has a sore foot, and I think it might have happened in practice Friday, and I felt like he was going to go play because he told the reporters like Tyler Higbee, uh, Matt Skura, and Allen Robinson are trending towards playing, and then you see the inactive list, and Allen Robinson is not available. So Sean McVay said that he has a fracture in his foot, and that's going to be the end of his season. So how with Cooper Cup and Stafford, he's kind of like, we'll see if they'll come back. Al Robinson pretty much said, nope, done for the season. So that was a surprise, and that's just kind of it hurts a guy like Bryce Perkins who has to rely on a veteran player like Robinson. It's like, oh, now it's 2-2, and that's McCutcheon. And Van Jefferson has some experience, but it's a very inexperienced offense. And then last McCutcheon, we haven't got an update. I think we forgot to ask for the rookie there, and I think he only had 3 targets, no catches, right? So
Yeah.
it wasn't a big day for Lance McCutcheon. And then you asked me about Brian Allen. He was out with the thumb, and then Ty Nsekhe was also out. So you had the 4th string left tackle AJ Curry, the rookie from the 7th round pick, out there playing against Chris Jones and guys like that.
Yeah, and they held up pretty well. I mean, for what they, with what do we say? Is this the 11th combination this year? So I thought they did a pretty good job. They weren't the problem today. And, you can't blame it on the offense when you're going with the third string quarterback. But talking about that third string quarterback, Bryce Perkins. So we have a question here for Sir Randolph. He says, "Hey gents, tell me what you guys think about how long the first half of training wheels on the passing game for the Rams. They let Perkins throw half of what they asked of Wolford."
Yeah, I think it was what 2 out of 5. Yeah, he had 2 completions for 16 yards, 5 attempts. I thought the same thing. Was it Ernesto who said that? Uh,
Uh,
you get the picture
No,
here.
it was Sir
Sir
Randolph here.
Randolph. Okay.
Let me go ahead and put the
Per
whole thing
round
on
I
here.
thought the same thing in the first half. I'm like, why don't you let this guy kind of cut it loose a little more? And I get it. You want to have a run scheme. You want to control the ball and not let Mahomes get into rhythm. And it kind of worked for the most part. There was a couple of scramble plays where he converted on 3rd down. I was like, okay, that's nice, but can this guy throw the ball? And when your punter matches almost what you had in the first half, Riley Dixon had that punt fake for 6 yards. So Jacob Harris, who also got his first career reception. A lot of people are getting career first because they're getting opportunities they wouldn't get otherwise. It's not enough, to see what Bryce Perkins could do. And I thought that drive in the 3rd quarter where Tutu Atwell had 2 big catches, Van Jefferson helped out. I want to say it was like a 12-play, 75-yard drive that ended with Jefferson getting a 7-yard touchdown. I'm like, that was a great drive. Okay, see, cut it loose. And then I think the environment, the loud crowd of Arrowhead Stadium got to him, Bryce Perkins, and kind of got rattled and threw those 2 bad interceptions. I want to say the first one was worse than the second one. I forget because I was already writing my story by then. But one of them got jumped on a route, and I think the second one was after Nick Scott got the interception in the end zone, and then they go back and Perkins gives the ball right back. So that's the inexperience, the jitters. You would like to see those jitters come out in the first half. You cut it loose in the first half. Maybe the second half, he's not as rattled, but he did have that long drive. So it's just tough too because McVay admitted, like, hey, I'm not going to give you a full playbook when we just found out Allen Robinson was going to be a big part of the offense is not available, and you're inexperienced and you're good at running the football. But Cam Akers, Kyren Williams didn't really have a big day. I know Kyren had that nice pickup on 4th and 2, but I just wanted to see more from the young guys, like a Lance McCutcheon, a Tutu Atwell, but it just wasn't that type of day.
Yeah, I mean, he did pretty well in terms of stats. Not he didn't go off or anything, but he finished 13 of 23 for 100 yards. He had the one touchdown that you talked about it for to Jefferson, and then he had the two costly interceptions in the fourth quarter. But he also ran the ball for first downs, which I thought was pretty impressive. I mean, he had a couple of third and long third down conversions there. And he finished with 9 carries for 44 yards, and he led the team in rushing as well. So, but let's go over to the defense since we don't have you for very long tonight. The defense, as we talked about from the beginning of the game, they did pretty well, and I wanted to sneak in a comment here since we're going to start talking about from Ernesto Rivera, who always joins us for the post game show. He said Red Zone D played very well. That's all I have from this game, laugh out loud. So at least he chimed in and he gave us his opinion. But yeah, the defense I thought played pretty well, Gilbert.
Yeah, it kind of felt like what they did the first, 9 weeks of the season, a little bend don't break, but maybe a little better than that, right? Like, they kind of, I want to say they flustered Mahomes, but they really contained them in his offense for the most part, especially that first half. I'm like, oh, that's impressive. And then Mahomes comes out of the third drive, the Pacheco touchdown. Like that was a long, lengthy drive, and it kind of felt okay. Let's start attacking this scheme here, get him what we can get, and move on and call it a day. But when you see Pacheco getting 69 yards, I thought it would be more. It wasn't like a crazy day. Kelsey had the biggest, I want to say the most yards, and it was only 57 yards. So I'm just going off of yardage here. It was just that type of game where like, but then you look up and it's like 420 something yards total. So like how good was his defense? But it was really respectable for what they're going through. First game without Ashawn Robinson, and the run defense was pretty good. I thought still. You kind of hope that you kind of had some impact plays from Jalen Ramsey, Bobby Wagner, Aaron Donald, but for Nick Scott to get the interception in the red zone after you had a short field two times and come away with only field goals, I think that was big for them. And especially after the way the last 2 weeks have played out. Was it Arizona in New Orleans? It felt like this defense was checking out, and then to come back in and be like, "Hey, we still got 7 games. We can't check out yet," and to show some fight. I think that was good. And Sean McVay came in with that press conference. I know he had the swollen jaw, but just excited about the effort, the defensive area stops. He kept saying like, "I love what they did in the red area. I don't care. It's not. I know moral victories are not what we want to hear, but I'm so proud of this team." So after a very long week with another injury to a key guy, it's all you can ask for.
Yeah, and just wanted to add this here from Daniel Calderon. He says, let's
Yeah.
move on from Rab and Raheem. Rab missed again on a few assignments. So, I mean, you have to take the positives here with some of the things that we saw from the defense, especially after the game they had against New Orleans. It was good to see them kind of rebound in this game. But let's go ahead and get to your final thoughts as we look forward to the Seahawks game at
Yeah.
home. What are your final thoughts from this matchup, Gilbert?
Let me give you a couple, and I want to go off of the Taylor Rapp thing there because I get you're playing a very good offense and you don't want to get blown out. You want to have some pride and be respected. And they did that. They accomplished that. But I just wish we saw more young guys on defense. Like you already know, like Taylor Rapp's probably not coming back next year. I think Nick Scott's done enough to earn a spot next year. Like you're gonna revamp the secondary, I feel like. And like David Long's out there getting a lot of playing time. I'm like, we know David Long. We know who he is. He's the guy, like we mentioned. And he's a quality experienced guy who won a Super Bowl last year, and Raheem Morris trusts him. But what about Darion Kendrick? What about Kobe Durant? I just want to see young guys get a chance, and like with the offense, yeah, it wasn't the numbers we wanted, but we at least saw what they could do in a raucous crowd, some evaluations, and we spoke to Kyren Williams in the locker room, like, yeah, man, that was fast paced, but he got it out the way. He got the jitters out. So I just wish we saw more young guys on defense, especially during a lost season. And then Bobby Wagner, my takeaway was like, you could tell he's starting to feel it. Like he's such a calm dude, but Bobby Wagner's like just a little frustrated every single week. It's like, I don't care about more victories. Like, I want a freaking Super Bowl. I'm about to be a Hall of Famer. I'm about to play my former team, the Seahawks, and you're 3-8. Like, I forget. I think the Seahawks lost, right? Is that what it
Yeah, they
was?
lost
To
to the
the Raiders.
Raiders.
Yeah,
Yeah, in
nice one.
overtime.
Yeah. So for him to come into to that game and then be 3-8 and on a 5 game losing streak, like Bobby Wagner, like you really felt like his frustration. Like we kind of gave him opportunities to vent a little bit. He wasn't having it. But I felt like he's just like, let's get through this damn year and show some pride and finish it out. But that's where we are right here. Injuries are gonna happen. Just keep fighting.
Yeah, and Daniel Calderon again, he agrees with you there. I mean, and we all kind of want to see the young guys getting the playing time at this point, because you're evaluating at this point. You're 3-8. You've lost, 5 games in a row. So it's time for evaluation and let those young guys play. But who just before we let you go, Gilbert, who gets your 12 pack of beer? I know you're not gonna give out a good Modelo today. So what do you got for us?
Yeah, I kind of want to give it to two people, and there's the two players who actually completed passes in the game for the Rams. I'll give Riley Dixon, I'll give him some, a Coronita, a Corona Light, because I thought he had some great punts, man. Like every time I kept looking at the kick, like 48 yards, or pinned back in their own 10, and then he had that completion on the fake punt. Riley Dixon did a good job, and then Bryce Perkins, I get it. You want to see him play better as a passer, but the situation that he had, being a third string quarterback, a raucous environment, losing your number one wide receiver who was available at the time, and Allen Robinson, and then just to kind of keep it going and get that nice drive in the third quarter, and like that's tough, man. So I think for Bryce Perkins to, and also I think players really believe in him. I know he didn't show it with his arm, but I think people have faith in him, and he's only a third-year guy, but he's very mature when you talk to him. He's very experienced, doesn't get rattled easily. So, uh, uh, Bryce Perkins, Riley Dixon's. Have yourself maybe 3 tall cans of Corona Light and enjoy it.
Yeah, for me, it's gonna be Nick Scott, man. You've been asking for a turnover, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, there you go. There's one for Gilbert right there. So I'll give it to him. Probably nothing, not a good beer, but that at least they go and get home and try to finish out the rest of the season. So with that, Gilbert, uh that puts an end to this post game show. Please promote, plug away, let us know what you're working on, Gilbert, before you go.
Yeah, real quick, a little nugget here. Nick Scott is going to be a first time dad. I don't know if his I'll just say partner. She's due in the next 10 days, and for them to end the road trip and to be home, Nick Scott is kind of eager to wait to see when he gets the call, and to be home for that Seattle game and the Raider game. It might end up working out for Nick Scott, or he could be on the field playing football when his baby arrives. But yeah, check out my story at the OC Register LA Daily News for the Allen Robinson injury, the Sean McVay hit from the swollen jaw, playing for Pride against the Chiefs. So I have all that covered. And yeah, Alonso, there's still games to go, 6 games. And looking at the calendar, I don't know, but the Raiders are showing fight. It could be a win there or not. The Broncos could be a win too. But definitely follow me on Twitter. I think that's still a thing, right? At GMonzano24 for all my stories. And I love being out here in Arrowhead Stadium. What a great environment. And the Rams, for the most part, held their own.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you more stuff, but we gotta go, Gilbert. That's all the time Gilbert has for us. Don't blame him. He's gotta get back to LA. So please, if you can give us some comments off, on the post game show. Listen to the audio. But Gilbert, that's it. Get us out of here, buddy.
Yeah, if you guys feel like this is such a short post game show, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Maybe for the final month of the season, we'll do a mailbag here. We're trying to get more mailbag for the preview show, but it's only like 3 or 4 questions. But if you want, like, hey, a second post game show, at this point, I'm down to deliver that. So please comment here. We love the engagement at House of Horns. Victor, you do great work. Like, I'm just writing my story. All I do is jump on, and everything is ready with all the notes. So shout out to you, Victor. I know we just passed Thanksgiving, but I am grateful for all you do here at House of Horns. And I know it's been a slow, past month here in terms of subscribers, but keep it going. Let's go up. I know there's some losses. Be excited for next year. Tell a friend about House of Horns, and keep it going. But on that note, ya nos vamos, pues, vámonos.